Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. So let's take a look at our starting lineups, brought to you by Kay Jewelers. And for the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech, a team that loves to play at a frenzied pace for their head coach Michael White, Kenneth Smith, Raheem Appleby, and Alex Hamilton are in the backcourt. Michael Kaiser, great shot blocker, and Chris Anderson fill out their starting five. For Oklahoma State, a man who needs no introduction, of course, is Marcus Smart, but he is joined by four other great athletes in Markel Brown, Brian Williams, LeBrian Nash, and Michael Cobbins. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Armstrong, along with Brendan Manzer. And Brendan, these are two of the highest scoring teams in the land.
You want to talk about a quick pace here this afternoon. You're going to see it. Both these teams combined for over 176 points per game. Louisiana Tech, Dave, they're going to score using their defensive full court pressure. Oklahoma State's going to use their half court defense to get those athletes out where they can go out and run.
The big differential is the Cowboys' three-point shooting, and of course for that they rely a lot on Phil Forte, who will come off the bench. But Marcus Smart has improved his outside shooting tremendously this year.
Well, that's one of the things that he wanted to work on when he decided to return to Oklahoma State, among other things, but it was his ability to knock down shots consistently, and he has done so.
He does everything well except he forgot to put on his jersey. Everything else was set, and then he came out and realized he wasn't fully dressed. Well, the opening tip goes to the Bulldogs. They are dressed in blue. Oklahoma State in white. Appleby with a floater. That won't go, and rebounded by Cobbins.
And again, both these teams will push the pace, do it a little bit differently. Both coming from the backcourts who are very good for Louisiana Tech and Oklahoma State.
Brown pulls up from the top of the key.
Oklahoma State had their pick. They would like to get much of this game, Dave, in a half-court set, because Louisiana Tech relies so much on their transition offense based from potential opportunities from their defense to get scores.
Smart trying to drive into the paint, dishes back out to Williams, and so far the Cowboys 0 for 2. So here comes Kenneth Smith, who is 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, averaging 6 assists per contest.
Travis Ford for Oklahoma State raved about him to you and I last night. What a great player. Even mentioned that he does many of the things that his own Marcus Smart does. He's an intelligent player, excellent passer, facilitates, creates, and can score if necessary.
Smith will pull up. And the first points of the game for Kenneth Smith. Not relied on his scoring, but he can every now and then come out and get you. Full court pressure, tipped away by Anderson. And it's one of the things the Bulldogs track is how many tips in a game.
How many tips? They're going to chart that throughout the entire basketball game. Already won right there. But they are so good at closing gaps that you think are potentially there.
So the two coaches, Travis Ford, of course, in his 6th year now with the team ranked number 7 in the country. Good block that time by Kaiser. Kaiser, he averages almost 4 blocks per game.
Had 92 blocks last year. Terrific rim protector. And Nash had great position, Dave. And that's where they want Nash, if you're Oklahoma State, to have the basketball. But you got to take it to Kaiser and not fade away from his contact.
One of the things the Bulldogs, even though they don't have a lot of size, boy, they are not afraid to penetrate and get into the paint.
Good length. I mean, much like Oklahoma State, you know, they've got those 6'3", 6'4" guys out on the perimeter. And once they get some ball movement, Dave, they're able to get that defense to shift, some gaps open up, and then they're very good at attacking it. You saw that right there from Hamilton.
Look at Michael White in his 3rd year. Boy, coming off a tremendous season in which they won the WAC. So after dominating the WAC, they decided to move over to Conference USA.
I'll tell you what, one of the top up-and-coming young coaches in college basketball.
I couldn't agree more.
Again, you'll see every possession. Pressure from Louisiana Tech. Oklahoma State will have to manage that well here this afternoon.
Smart pulls back for a 3. That's off target. So far, the Cowboys ice cold here in Oklahoma City. Just the kind of start the Bulldogs were hoping for. Appleby will drive in. That was partially blocked by Markel Brown.
With the exception of the possession where Nash got it on the interior, Oklahoma State right there again, Dave, settling for jumpers right now. And that's what Louisiana Tech wants. If you don't get anything in offensive transition, which Oklahoma State obviously with their athletes they will take, but if not, you have to put Louisiana Tech in the half court on defense and work the ball around. They want you to take quick shots.
A little collision there between Brown and Williams. Williams did not travel, hung on to the ball. Cobbins, 0 for 6 the start for the Cowboys today. Good extra little hesitation move there by Alex Hamilton.
And I tell you what I like about Hamilton. Now he on many basketball teams could be a point guard. So basically Louisiana Tech, when he and Smith are playing with 2 point guards, he technically plays a 3. But he has that facilitator ability. And like a combo, he can go score as well. You saw his quickness, little hesitation move, and he drew the foul.
Anderson losing the handle. And Smart, boy, that was a heads-up play by Smart. He felt Kenneth Smith on his back and drew the foul. Savvy, that's the word that comes to mind when you think of Marcus Smart.
Well, Marcus Smart knows one speed. And then that's to go hard at all times. And after a disappointing loss in a revenge type game against Memphis and for the Old Spice Classic just a couple weeks ago, he had a nice bounce back game against South Carolina where he went back to managing his teammates.
Smart trying to save that one, an errant pass. Williams was heading to the basket, and turnover for the Cowboys, who are out of sync right now. Still haven't scored. They've started off 0 for 6 in this game.
See Oklahoma State trying to show more patience, but as soon as Brown left his feet, Brian Williams looked like he was going to go attack the glass, and Markel Brown throws it away. But that's the challenge when you play Louisiana Tech, because they're going to pressure you, get you in a little bit of a frenzy, but managing whether to push the ball or get in a half-court offensive set and be patient, it's very difficult to do. Easier said than done.
Sort of a mixed bag right now, Brendan, for Louisiana Tech. They love to get that frenzied tempo. They don't really have that in this game. They've been kind of stuck in a half-court game, and yet here they have a 3-0 lead thanks to their defense and the Cowboys missing shots.
Well, their half-court defense has been good. They forced Oklahoma State into jumpers.
There's another block shot by Kaiser. And then he loses the handle out of bounds, and we've got a break. So Louisiana Tech doing what they had hoped to do in the first 4 minutes of the game, leading the Cowboys 3-0. Welcome you back to Chesapeake Energy Arena in Oklahoma City as Louisiana Tech surprising the 7th-ranked team in the country right now, leading 3-0. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Armstrong. Brendan Manzer by my side here today. And Brendan, an ice-cold start for the Cowboys.
Yeah, they have a long way to go to get to that combined 176 points a game. But Louisiana Tech, although they are not creating points off their full-court pressure, they are getting defensive stops in the half-court set. Oklahoma State 0 for so far this afternoon. They are a jump shooting team. Shoot 51% from the 4 and 41% from 3, which is excellent. But when those shots are not falling, Dave, you have to go back to the grind, get better ball movement, better screening action, and your offense has to start working from inside out.
Brown gets into the paint. He is fouled on the play. The foul on Chris Anderson, his first.
You know, it's amazing to me when you're struggling how just a little bit of ball movement improves your offense. Oklahoma State comes out, you get the ball rotating a little bit, not sticking. And with their athletes and a guy like Markel Brown in particular, get them in some space, then you can attack and give yourself some offensive opportunities.
Brown, a very good free throw shooter, 81% on the year. You know, if it weren't for Marcus Smart, we'd probably be talking a lot about Markel Brown and the contributions he has made now in his senior campaign here at Oklahoma State.
Well, he came to Oklahoma State 4 seasons ago out of high school as just an athlete. You know, a guy that had tremendous athleticism, and he's well known around the country for his highlight dunks that we see on Sports Center Top 10. But he progressively each and every year has improved his game. In particular, his jump shot. I mean, he's become a very good collegiate shooter, and he's going to be a guy that's going to be very draftable after his senior campaign.
Kind of interesting, and Markel Brown and Brian Williams both from Louisiana taking on La Tech here today. Another missed three-pointer from Cordarius Johnson. Nash drives in. It'll count, and he'll go to the line.
Well, that's Oklahoma State, Dave, showing their strength in a nutshell right there. Good defensive stop in the half court, good block off, and then you have 5 guys at any time on the floor at Oklahoma State that are athletic, quick, run the floor in a great way. And you saw how quickly the ball was advanced up the floor. That's what Oklahoma State wants to do. Force the good half-court defensive possession, get the board, and get off and run.
That tough field goal, Brendan, by LeBron Nash, the first field goal of the game for the Cowboys. They started off 0 for 7. Appleby, what good pull-up jumper.
Raheem Appleby is a nice player. Very good scorer, explosive. And what he has, Dave, is he likes to drive the ball, but he's got some mid-range game and a real nice little three-point shot that's very respectable.
Three-pointer no good. Cowboys really can't find the range from outside. Another missed three. Pick the pocket, Markel Brown. Kamari Murphy makes him pay at the other end.
Well, Brown right there did a great job of moving his feet and cutting off the dribbler right there. And you saw again Oklahoma State, their 4s and 5s do a great job too of running the floor.
What a play by Smart. Cowboys getting out in transition.
Well, they've picked up their defensive pressure, more intense since the under 16 media timeout in the half-court set. And now what they have, Dave, is a series of stops that has changed the momentum and the tempo of this basketball game.
A lot of times offense comes from defense, and it does on these last two possessions.
Yeah, for both these teams, it's really important. You see right there, Brown rotating over, picks Hamilton's pocket, and then you get Kamari Murphy in transition. And the next possession, here's a little pressure and trapping of their own from Oklahoma State. You got 2 white jerseys quickly down the floor, and Murphy and Nash, and Phil Forte has his pick of the 2.
What a unbelievable play by Smart. I mean, that is a highlight reel type play. Not only does he block an attempted pass, he saves the ball on the sideline, and then an over-the-shoulder pass to Forte to get it back going the other way. Well, freshman sensation Jabari Parker and the Blue Devils, they're on ESPNU Monday night, and they welcome the Bulldogs to Cameron Indoor Stadium. Gardner Webb versus Duke, Monday at 7 right here on ESPNU. Also live on the Watch ESPN app.
Think Jabari Parker can play a little bit, Dave?
Oh, man. What a freshman class, huh, this year in college basketball.
Not only have we had these great freshmen, diaper dandies coming to collegiate basketball, but how about all the great matchups we've had? Some of the storied programs, North Carolina, Duke, or excuse me, Kentucky and North Carolina later today.
Later today. It'll be at 5:15 Eastern. Massey pulls up. No one came out to get him.
And yeah, there's a reason for that. Oklahoma State will certainly allow Massey that shot anytime he wants.
And Stevie Clark back on the team after serving a 4-game suspension. Hamilton. Good ball fake. Unlucky on the shot. Smart. Little ball fake of his own.
You know, as you develop as a player, whether you're highly talented or not, as Marcus Smart is, the game becomes slower to you. So you get the pass right there, ball fake, gets the defender, see what's this, boom, showing of the ball, gets the defender to bite, and then the weak side defense for Louisiana Tech, they had lost sight of the basketball and were hugged up on that weak side, and that allowed all kinds of space for Smart to attack the rim.
Smart adds the free throw, and the Cowboys on a bit of a run right now. And they welcome Williams back into the fray. Cowboys have scored 7 straight points.
Both these teams are similar in where they have quite a bit of depth. Now, Louisiana Tech will go 10, 11 deep. Oklahoma State, you play a Leighton Hammonds, freshman, you go about 9, but Travis Ford feels like this is the deepest team he's had at Oklahoma State, and so you see them also, particularly off made free throws, picking up in full court pressure as well.
What a nice move by Hamilton. Gives it up in the paint. Three-point shot, no good. Johnson tries to follow with a jam. Stevie Clark, the freshman out of Oklahoma City, went to Douglas High School here.
He's played well. I mean, he's takes care of the basketball, sees the floor well.
Another block shot for Kaiser. That's his third.
Kaiser, they allows the defenders out on the perimeter to be more aggressive.
First three-pointer made by the Bulldogs, and a much-needed one to pull back within two. Nash is fouled this time by Kaiser. So we've got a timeout, the Cowboys with the lead, but Louisiana Tech still in the neighborhood thanks to their first three of the game. This one from Hamilton.
Studio, how about number 1 Arizona? Underdogs at Michigan, down by 1. Brandon Ashley going to score inside. Arizona down the stretch hit 7 straight free throws. They beat Michigan on the road 72-70.
All right, great comeback for Arizona today. And here it's Oklahoma State, the 7th-ranked team in the country, leading by 2. ESPNU has a double dip of college basketball coming up Tuesday night. First of all, at 7 o'clock, the Eagles, a.k.a. Dunk City, they take on the Bulls. Then at 9, the Shockers of Wichita State head to Tuscaloosa to battle the Crimson Tide. Florida Gulf Coast against South Florida at 7. Then Wichita State and Alabama at 9 on ESPNU. Both games also available on Watch ESPN. With Brendan Manzer, I'm Dave Armstrong in Oklahoma City for the 78th annual All-College Classic. It's the oldest college basketball tournament in the country. Cowboys, who started off 0 for 7, Brendan, as they just really had a rough time getting going, and now all of a sudden getting a little bit more into the flow of the game.
When it all started, you know, Travis Ford called timeout, got better ball movement, started attacking off the dribble after that ball movement, and then you start getting some touches inside. And it doesn't matter if you're a jump shooting team or, you know, you have a Hakeem Olajuwon on the pivot. I mean, you've got to get touches inside, whether it's through post-entry passes or the heart of the defense off dribble. That's where those offenses start, and that's when you start getting more production.
And doesn't it always work this way? We brag about the offense, 2 of the top scoring teams in the country, and here now they are shooting a combined 25% in this game.
Well, the way we spin that is they're both good defensively. I mean, it's something had to give, right?
And we've talked about the Cowboys, how they've struggled shooting the ball, but Tech no better, as they are just 3 for 13 in this game.
Well, if it's a half-court type game, it obviously favors Oklahoma State because Louisiana Tech relies so much on points off turnovers, offensive putbacks, getting to the foul line.
From the short corner, nice play by Kamari Murphy.
When I've seen Oklahoma State this year, Dave, and they are at their best, the ball movement is excellent. It's crisp, they're sharing it, and right there, just crisp ball movement, and you get Kamari Murphy with the baseline jumper. Here's what I'm talking about. This is in transition. This is basically like a secondary break. See the ball movement, and the ball is advanced up the floor with the pass. Initiated in the beginning by Stevie Clark, and I think that's where Oklahoma State's improved. They have the athleticism, obviously. They've got plenty of ball handlers, but if you want to get the ball down the court before the defense gets set up, a great way to do that is advancing it up the floor with passes.
Kenneth Smith was fouled on the last play by Stevie Clark, his first foul. There's 3 team fouls on the Cowboys this half. Checking back in, Raheem Appleby. Smith, just a 56% free throw shooter.
You know, talking to Coach White, we were talking about Smith, and obviously he wouldn't trade him. And if there's any chink in his armor, it's just knocking down shots consistently. But every other facet of the game, from defensively to facilitating to leadership, Speedy Smith is about as good as it gets. And that's got to make you feel good when your backcourt is solidified by a great point guard.
Foul there was on Alex Hamilton. Williams, boy, he took it strong to the hole. Doesn't get it to go, and the rebound by Kaiser.
When they leave Kaiser back there alone to protect the rim, and Oklahoma State, when they've had opportunities here of late, have done a good job of taking it right to him.
And that'll be a travel on Hamilton. And almost like they funneled their defense towards Kaiser.
Well, they trust him there, and they know, they being Louisiana Tech, that they have the ability to extend out on the floor, whether it's in full court or the half court, because he is there to protect the rim. And what you have to do if you have those type of players is attack, and Oklahoma State has done so.
Going over to the scores table for an official review.
Last foul was Kaiser, not Alexander.
So now they're checking to see that the foul that they gave to Hamilton originally, now they have reversed that call and given it to Kaiser, and that's a big move because that's the second on Kaiser.
And we were just talking about his importance of protecting the rim, and that has been the challenge also for Louisiana Tech is staying out of foul trouble. And they go deep, playing 10 or 11, but Kaiser is as important as anybody in this basketball team because he gives him the ability to extend defensively.
See, there was the foul there, and it's clearly on Kaiser. And then originally the official came in and called it on Alex Hamilton, who was on the other side of the lane.
Yeah, and that's one right there that Michael Kaiser, I mean, he's got to understand his importance of being in the game. That's kind of a cheap one right there. He did foul, but that picks up the second. He's got to sit down.
So in his junior campaign, one of the all-time shot blockers in Louisiana Tech history. So his second foul, and there goes that funnel, you know, where they funnel everything to him. And now what do you do defensively? The Bulldogs, though, they are not getting out in transition like they like to, and that says a lot about the way the Cowboys are playing here today. They're controlling the transition game. Smart trying to throw it inside. It's picked off.
Now this is where Louisiana Tech, if they're going to hang here this afternoon and be there late in the basketball game with a chance to win, to pull off the upset, they've got to manufacture points when they're put in their half-court offense.
Appleby kind of forced one there. Talbot tries to tip it home. Last 10 possessions now, 3 turnovers and 1 for 7 from the field for the Bulldogs. What a shot by Markel Brown.
And again, just his progression. Travis Ford's done a good job of developing a guy like he and Brian Williams, Mike Cobbins. Markel Brown, one of the top players in the Big 12 Conference.
Smart got in the passing lane. Three-pointer, no good. And what a block by Cobbins. Cowboys have a pretty good shot blocker of their own back there.
Yeah, just like for Louisiana Tech and Michael Kaiser, Mike Cobbins for Oklahoma State provides a similar protection of that rim. And there's Smith doing the right thing and going right to the goal. But you see Cobbins, tremendous length, long arms, and then he makes sure that no contact is made. Shot blockers don't want that body contact.
How much does it help that he's left-handed in addition to everything else?
I think that's huge.
Yeah,
I think that's huge because it obviously makes it much more natural to contest those right-handed shoots.
Without fouling. Anderson is fouled on his way to the hoop by Nash. It's his first, the 4th team foul on the Cowboys this half. Not much energy here in this building or out on the court right now. Both teams are really struggling trying to find any kind of rhythm in this game.
And maybe with the build up to this game, with the explosive offenses, the fans are waiting for more shots to fall. But again, part of that is, you know, you have 2 teams that are good defensively, albeit they do it differently. So when you're a ball club like Oklahoma State and Louisiana Tech, who depend on creating turnovers for some offense, and that's not occurring, you're going to have a little bit more laboring in your offensive opportunities.
Williams forces his way in. Nash with a good offensive rebound, but then he stepped on the baseline.
Well, that's the kind of turnover you can live with your Travis Ford from LeBron Nash. And Nash has taken a little bit of heat at different times for questioning how high his motor runs. But I don't think you can question that this year. He is playing hard on every possession, not getting talked about a lot, obviously because of Marcus Smart and Markel Brown.
Count the basket, but an offensive foul on Louisiana Tech. The basket is good, and then the charge by Appleby.
Good look right here. And the question is, by rule, this is before the upward movement, was Nash set? And typically you can tell the upward movement, it's going to be based on when both hands are on the basketball, obviously, as you go to the basket. That's pretty close play right there.
Don't you think that's made it even more difficult on the officials to try to call a block charge, trying to figure out, all right, was the defensive player set before the upward movement? I think it really makes it difficult on the officials. I mean, I think they're doing as good a job as possible.
I think they've done a great job. And speaking of rules, here's your block charge rules. The player goes airborne. Defenders they got to be in the position at that time. And that's what we saw right there. That was pretty close. But really what happens, Dave, on the bang-bang ones that aren't obvious, I mean, the default to me is just it's a block. And that's where the officials can go with that.
And I thought on that last call, Oglesby, the official, got it exactly right. He counted the basket because the ball was released before contact was made. And then certainly LeBron Nash looked like he was set before the upward movement. I thought it was a perfect call. Hamilton. And that's an air ball from Hamilton. So the three-pointers are not going. Look, the Bulldogs, quite honestly, shoot 49% from the field because they usually get a lot of layups in transition. Yeah, they're not getting those today.
That's exactly right. In the half-court set, they have struggled, and admittedly so. Coach White talked to us about that yesterday. He says, we rely so much on points off turnovers. In the half-court set, we've got to get to the foul line. We've got to hit the offensive glass. Not that they're incapable, it's just not their strength. And so today they have struggled. But the good news is, Dave, they've also done a great job against Oklahoma State. It's a 6-point game, and that's certainly within striking distance.
So Markel Brown going to the line to shoot two. Well, this is a 1-and-1 opportunity for Brown. And he'll get the bonus. Brown, before he's done, he'll be in the top 20 all-time scoring at Oklahoma State. Needs around 40 points now to do that. He's already in the top 20 in assists.
Well, you're right. I think you said it very well, Dave, early on. With all the attention, and rightly so, that goes to Marcus Smart.
Right.
Particularly for his decision to return for a sophomore year. Some of that has been taken away from a guy like Markel Brown. But in talking to him, he's completely fine with that. And I think that's one of the strengths of Oklahoma State is their chemistry.
You look at the new rules this year, this is one of those closely guarded things that they're watching for out on the perimeter to try to get more of a flow in the game.
And basically what it means, you got to move your feet, and you can't use your hands. And right there, in that case, Markel Brown put a forearm on the left arm of the ball handler. That's a foul.
Appleby turned down the three and then takes a tougher one. And the rebound goes out of bounds. And it will belong to the Cowboys when we come back. In a game where we expected all kinds of offense, what we're seeing instead is a touch of defense, including this block by Michael Cobbins.
Cancer has played a role in just about anybody's life. Nobody can run and hide from it, and the more we can raise money for research, the better off everybody's going to be.
want you to help us beat cancer. The V Foundation awards 100% of direct donations to cancer research. Foundation endowment covers the administrative expenses. We invite you to log on to www.jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V to donate. And Coach Ford is right. Everyone has been affected by cancer, and I know that so much money has been raised through the years, but we need more. We still need to find a cure.
You know what an impact Coach Valvano has made. I mean, I wonder if he, in his wildest dreams, envisioned the impact that he would make on all of us.
Well, the Cowboys right now with a lead against the Bulldogs here in Oklahoma City. 18-11 our score. Despite poor shooting by both teams, the Cowboys shooting 30%, Louisiana Tech 21%, and they are a combined 1 for 13 from three-point range.
And I think everybody in Chesapeake Arena, including you and I,
yes,
just waiting for that influx of offensive possessions at both ends that have not occurred so far here tonight, or this afternoon. Sorry.
Nice move by Kamari Murphy. He's kind of been a glue guy this year for the Cowboys.
You know, he's a guy that understands, I think, who he is. And obviously, a lot of players, he's a sophomore now, improve their greatest from their freshman to sophomore year. I mean, he's a guy that's going to be active, terrific on the offensive glass. He has 14 offensive rebounds his last 4 games. You know, and his stat line are things like 3 of 4, 4 of 6 from the field, that type of production. And right there, nice little showing of his interior talent.
Smith trying to get around Smart, forced to take a much guarded 3. 1 for 9 now, the Bulldogs from three-point range. Left-handed shot way off target, but Cobbins is there to pick up the loose change. Brown has it blocked by Anderson.
Boy, really good block right there.
Good move to the basket by Smith, but he can't convert. Here comes Murphy. And he is fouled on the play by McNeil. And we talked about Kamari Murphy, and let's go back to a really nice play offensively from this sophomore from Brooklyn.
Well, this is coming out of the timeout. It's just a cross screen, and he has the options right here of either Murphy or you got Markel Brown coming off the screen right here. And then what happens is you get the mismatch. So correctly read by Marcus Smart. You got O'Neal on the hip of or McNeil, excuse me, on the hip of Murphy, and then you have the easy bunny over the left shoulder. And so what I like most about that is, number one, you execute out of the timeout, which Oklahoma State and Travis Ford's teams historically do that very, very well. But you look to the interior first. And Marcus Smart managing the game very well right there. And you've noticed that he's been a little bit quiet in some ways, but he's done a nice job of just managing his teammates.
You look at his numbers for the year, and this is a guy that averages about 18 minutes a game. The one area where Murphy can really improve is free throw shooting. And there was a lane violation here. So now Murphy on the year is 6 for 16 from the line. Full court pressure by the Cowboys. I think Coach Ford wants to speed up the game a little bit.
Well, they've done this all season long. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons he feels like he can do more of this, which is more his style. He came to Oklahoma State with a guy of reputation that obviously playing for Rick Pitino was going to play at a faster pace, and how you do that is full court pressure. But he has some depth and some athleticism this year to be able to put that kind of full court pressure.
Cobbins swats this one into the walk-ons.
Well, both teams have high-flying shot blockers, and they always get these blocks away from the ball. Here comes Cobbins. I mean, he's just sniffing that out right there. After a little ball reversal, there's Hamilton. Cobbins says,
Another steal by Smart. Stolen right back by Anderson. Smith pulls up for 3. Another missed 3, but Anderson's got the rebound and stick back. And a timeout taken by Travis Ford.
Anderson, good rebound right there because that was not a good offensive possession. Smith takes a quick shot, and Louisiana Tech has struggled in the half court. But look on the weak side. There's Anderson. Has a position. It's easy for him because Stevie Clark at 6 feet is right there. And Anderson, who may be the best athlete for Louisiana Tech, with an easy putback.
Well, we talked about it earlier, but what a great game and a great matchup tonight. ESPN's coverage of college basketball continues. Freshman sensation Julius Randle will lead the Kentucky Wildcats against Marcus Page and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Kentucky, North Carolina. Enough said, right? Part of the journey to the tourney, presented by Sonic, tonight at 5:15 Eastern on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. You look at Julius Randle, what he has done in his freshman campaign. Are you kidding me? 18 points, 12 rebounds.
If you have never seen him play, and obviously you and I have, because this is what we do, but just look at those numbers right there. 18 and 12. You know, only men average 18 points and 12 boards.
Inside to Nash, no. And another rebound by Anderson.
Really nice pass right there as Nash slipped the play and Stevie Clark threaded the needle.
Appleby, no. Another missed three. Good move by Massey to get to the other end of the basket, but he still can't convert.
And it's just not in Louisiana Tech's nature to show patience in the half court.
What a move by LeBron Nash.
That is the advantage if you're Oklahoma State when you bring the ball in transition. You know, with the exception of Mike Cobbins right now for them, they have 4 guys that can bring it with them. And they don't stop Nash up high on the floor, and he's just allowed to flow to the rim.
Jump ball called, and the alternate possession error will give the ball to the Cowboys.
Here's Nash once again. I mean, he can bring it with him, even though he's the 4, handles it well enough. And when you're in defensive transition, Dave, the key is you got to protect inside out, number 1. But you also have to stop the basketball high on the floor. Get that ball veered off to one side or the other so that you can rematch up. And La Tech right there, not a good job of stopping Nash high, and therefore he gets the easy lay-in.
Yeah, that's the first field goal for the Cowboys, Brendan, in the last 3 minutes of this game. Nash spins in, no. One and done as Massey clears the glass. Appleby kind of lost the handle going up, and guess what? Another swat by Cobbins. So you look at LeBron Nash trying to pick up the pace for the Cowboys, who are pulling away from the Bulldogs.
No. Mack Brown looks very much like he may be back coaching the Longhorns next season. Why it is safe to say that's likely, we'll explain at halftime, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Dari. That's interesting news from Austin. As everybody had already planted out Mack Brown, and now who knows? So we'll get the latest on that at halftime. When you look at Oklahoma State, of course, the focus is always on Marcus Smart, and why not? Preseason All-American.
Well, his challenge, Dave, is the balance between managing his team and then taking over and going making plays. I mean, obviously, he can do that. Struggled a little bit with a couple turnovers, missed shot right there, but he really hasn't had to do much. And I think that's one of the things that makes him special is he does realize and understand that there's a lot of pieces on this team, and one of them's right here.
Good read by Nash. So LeBron Nash now leading all scorers with 11 points, the only guy in double figures.
Yeah, again, that's another example of his motor running right this year. High at all times, more intense on the glass, and there's a little run through.
And another block by Cobbins. That is the 4th block shot by Cobbins.
Well, there's athletes galore. I mean, you can go 6, 7 deep, where Oklahoma State has as high a level athletes as anybody in the country.
Brown forced one there. Appleby really hasn't gotten loose in this game. Only 4 points so far. He's been in double figures in every game this year. And a foul by Cobbins.
Here's LeBron Nash showing a little defense. That's not typically his forte. But there's the run through, pressure up front, and that's a dangerous pass throwing it up the floor like that when you have length and athleticism, Oklahoma State, where guys can run through those. And some pretty good defensive numbers from the Cowboys, Dave.
Look where they rank in the Big 12, first in a couple of categories and no worse than third in any category. Another missed three-point shot by Anderson and by the Bulldogs. And a foul inside. 1 for 12, Louisiana Tech from three-point range. Now, they're not a great three-point shooting team, but they're better than 1 for 12.
Well, you know, to me, it's not the only making one. It's the fact that they've shot 12 three-pointers down. I mean, they don't shoot it great from three. They can be serviceable at times, but it's not going down in addition to that. And so, you know, the challenge for them is manufacturing points in the half-court set. But the amazing thing is they have an opportunity to have a very poor offensive half, but yet if they can continue to get a few more stops here in the final 2:37, find a way to score themselves, very much a ball game despite all the poor offensive possessions they've had.
I was going to ask you, who's more frustrated, the Cowboys or the Bulldogs? I mean, here are the Bulldogs shooting under 20% from the game. That's got to be frustrating, but yet they're still in it. And the Cowboys are thinking, we've held them to under 20% and we haven't really pulled away.
And I very much believe in momentum, I mean, in a big way. And this final 2:17, momentum could be built by either team going to the locker room. It could very bode well in a big way going into the second half.
Big pressure there by Johnson to force a turnover. It's the 6th turnover for Travis Ford's team. He was telling us yesterday that one of his concerns with this team is that for whatever reason, they are not a great practice team. They just feel like they can turn it on and off whenever they want to.
And it wasn't an effort thing. It was more of a being dialed in type of thing.
In transition, Williams is knocked to the ground.
You know, one of the things too, you know, these defenses have been good for both teams, but the offenses, when things haven't come easy, they haven't bore down and executed very well. There's another turnover for Louisiana Tech where the ball is being passed up the floor. I mean, you're just inviting for the ball to be stolen, and in particular when you have the athleticism of the Cowboys, they get it down the floor quickly.
Well, LeBron Nash has been sent over to the bench. I think he has a scratch on his right bicep, so they're going to attend to that.
I mean, when you talk about Nash, Dave, and you can look at it his sophomore year or this season, when he has had high-scoring games, he's been getting himself to the foul line. Those are the nights that you know things are working when he gets to the charity stripe.
You can see the frustration over there for Louisiana Tech because they have all of this production coming back. And it's coming back on a team, Brendan, that is really a good team from last year to this year, and they have everybody back pretty much.
Won 27 games last year.
Yep.
Very easily could have been in the NCAA tournament. Had an 18-game winning streak at one point. And we very well could see them in the NCAAs in March. I mean, they're that good, obviously. They're going to challenge, and in many publications pick the favorite in Conference USA. And they're well coached. We were at their practice yesterday. You want to talk about a spirited, intense, a lot of work, a lot of things accomplished within their practice yesterday. It was fun for us, I know, to watch Coach White and his staff teach this basketball team.
Appleby kicks it out, but also ran into Marcus Smart as he came flying into the paint. So an offensive foul on Appleby.
Well, this is kind of mundane offensively. A little better ball movement, little sharper drive to the basket. But the purpose is not great right now for Louisiana Tech. And with Oklahoma State, Dave, because they are so athletic, because they put a premium on containing dribbles, Appleby, like he landed on that left elbow. Really important you get ball movement and precise screens against them, because producing those opportunities is very difficult. You can't go through the motions in the half-court set offensively.
Nash pulls up. LeBron Nash is having a great half.
And notice where all his shots come from now. It's 15 feet and in. Now his freshman year, he attempted 63-point attempts. This being his junior year, he's only shot 2 threes all season.
Block here by Murphy, but a foul came first.
We've seen him get to the foul line. We've seen him produce in transition. This little pull-up 15-footer right there. He can never get that to go on a consistent basis. You see that whole left side was cleared out to allow him to make a choice of how to attack. If he can get that jumper to go down consistently. And this is definitely a national championship type of team if he plays at that level.
Louisiana Tech, on top of everything else, is 2 for 7 from the line. LeBron Nash, they said one of the things that the new rules might do is bring a mid-range game back. Well, he's brought it back for himself. He's quit shooting a lot of three-pointers this year, and his mid-range game has been excellent this season.
They do a lot of nice things, as we saw right there, that gets Nash in space. I mean, he is not great in crowded areas. He's not as nimble as Smart and Brian Williams and Markel Brown. But if he's got some space to operate, he can go to work.
Good move by Brian Williams.
And you got the touch to Nash. You know, Nash has been productive offensively. The attention is on him now. He draws help. Good movement from Williams, and you get another wide open 15-footer.
Shot clock down to 9. That's a 5-second call.
And that's smart by Marcus Smart. Intelligent play, because many times he has tempted Dave to go for the steal and gamble. But he understood right there, I just need to contain, we need a stop to close out the half. But he did it with enough pressure to get the 5-second count.
Now, the Bulldogs normally do a very good job in the turnover ratio. Not so tonight. They have 8 turnovers against just 5 field goals. And right now it's the Cowboys winning the turnover battle. Smart. Oh, good wraparound pass. Nash with 2 more. That was created by Marcus Smart. But again, LeBron Nash has a tremendous half for the Cowboys.
Well, when Marcus Smart gets ahead of steam near the half court, you have to be careful, because once he turns that corner, like right there, boom, draws the help. He's terrific at finding teammates, and he gets Nash, who's had the big half. And credit Nash on that weak side. See, finding the windows, his hands are up, ready to lay it in. Great way to end the half if you're Oklahoma State.
So LeBron Nash leading the Cowboys, who now have their biggest lead, 31-18, as we send you to Sports Center U.
Well, it hadn't been pretty. Nash's 15, certainly the only good part of this game.
We welcome you back to Chesapeake Energy Arena in Oklahoma City as Louisiana Tech takes on Oklahoma State, part of Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN, as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. Well, at halftime, it's Oklahoma State pulling away from Louisiana Tech at the end of the half. They have their biggest lead of the game right now at 13, 31-18. Hi again, everyone. I'm Dave Armstrong along with Brendan Manzer. Brendan, that was some ugly offense by both teams, but one guy who did not follow suit was a guy by the name of LeBron Nash.
Yeah, continues to play that well this season for Oklahoma State. So much is talked about Marcus Smart and then Markel Brown, but LeBron Nash quietly having an outstanding season. More aggressive on the offensive end, better decision making. He got some easy ones in transition, but he also did some work himself. Nice little finish here for him. But the defensive side of the ball, not something that he is known for. This little run through and a flush. Nash has 15 points at half and 6 boards, and he has been all the offense for Oklahoma State.
When you look at these two teams, 20% for Louisiana Tech. I don't know what you can say about that. A combined 1 for 17 from three-point range for these two teams, and where Oklahoma State had the advantage in the points off turnovers.
Well, look at the offense that we talked about from the tip that this two teams potentially could produce. way behind today. They'd have to have 133 combined points second half to reach that 176 plus. But, you know, I think the offensives have been a little bit lacking in terms of their assertiveness. But at the same time, both these teams rely on their defense to win basketball games. Louisiana Tech defensively in their full court pressure, and Oklahoma State mostly does it with defensive stops and rebounding and getting out and running. So defenses has been good, offenses not so much.
On offense first, Louisiana Tech. Anderson will try yet another three. In and out, no good. Good rebound, though, by Kaiser. Back to Anderson. Didn't settle for the three that time.
That's a combination. That was bad offense and bad defense. Quick shot from three. Then Oklahoma State doesn't block off and then allows Anderson about a 30-foot head of steam for the lay-in.
Nash, by the way, 6 for 11 in the first half. The rest of the Cowboys combined for 6 for 20.
Mismatch right there with Smith and Cobbins.
Smith poked it away, one to shoot it. And a good rebound by Williams. Then he lost the handle.
Sloppy exchanges here in the first two possessions coming out of the gate. Now, if you remember Oklahoma State, they have, with the exception of about 2 basketball games this year, have had sizable leads going into halftime. But they've had the identity, or at least here in the early part of the season, of allowing teams back in and not having as strong of a second half.
I think both teams got into that locker room and said, man, that was ugly. And we both got to play better than that. Smart got a piece of that one as Anderson was right next to the basket.
And Anderson had Smart on his hip, and he just needed to go over his left shoulder. He almost turned and faced up to Smart, exposing the basketball.
Good ball fake, and then Williams converts.
We talk about Nash and how he has been a good complement to both Smart and Markel Brown, but Brian Williams is a guy that can go get you 15 on any given night. Coach Travis Ford very pleased with him at both ends of the floor this year.
Hamilton got a step on Williams. Still can't convert, but tipped home.
That's where they need to get some points this half day. Offensive glass, putbacks, and they've got to find a way to get something off their full court defense.
And Markel Brown comes the other way.
That's it by Markel Brown.
You see the tempo right here. This is a half-court game right now. Favors Oklahoma State.
Appleby still struggling in this game. Just 2 for 8 from the field. Smart. Wow.
It's so difficult to contain him in a broken floor. And it's not jet quickness that does it. It's that strength off the drive.
And a three-pointer by Appleby and a quick timeout taken by Mike White. So with Oklahoma State's lead.
Through the battles and the travels and everything else, I call it how I see it, yeah, best believe I only say it cause it's true. No need to sugarcoat it, we only say it cause it's true.
In a game where we really expected a lot of offense, it's been more about the defense. As Oklahoma State leads by a dozen, 37-25. Freshman sensation Jabari Parker and the Blue Devils. They're on ESPNU Monday night. They welcome the Bulldogs to Cameron Indoor Stadium. Gardner Webb against Duke Monday at 7 on ESPNU. Also live on Watch ESPN. You look at Jabari Parker and what he has done for the Blue Devils. Another one of these fabulous freshmen, averaging 22 points a game.
So how do you defend that? You have 55,
Obviously not very well.
55 from the floor, 47 from 3. I mean, his decision making and how he exploits you on the floor to be so young is what's important, and obviously the ability to hurt you in many areas. You can put your best defensive efforts up against a guy like that, and it may not matter.
Nice floater by Kenny Smith after he gets the steal at midcourt.
Yeah, one of only a couple careless possessions offensively by Oklahoma State where Louisiana Tech has been able to get something easy.
So the lead down to 10 now. Woo. Nash. Nope. Long rebound back to Nash. And Brown flashes down the paint.
And Anderson right there after Nash shot the basketball. And again, if I'm Louisiana Tech, I allow Nash the 18-footer. But Anderson leaked out. Did not block off Nash, and therefore they don't get the offensive possession or the defensive rebound.
Anderson a spin. Nice move. Anderson with 3 buckets here in the second half.
Well, Anderson's athletic. Does a good job right there, basically carving Oklahoma State's defense for the good offensive look.
Smart. And he is fouled on his way to the hoop. Anderson with the personal. So Oklahoma State with a long rebound, and then watch Markel Brown move without the ball. The Cowboys keeping the Bulldogs at arm's length. Cowboys lead it by 10. They had a 13-point lead at the half. 15:28 remaining in this contest. Don't forget Tuesday night, great doubleheader of action on ESPNU. Starting with Florida Gulf Coast against USF at 7 o'clock Eastern, and then the Shockers of Wichita State. Not shocking anybody this year. After a great run in the tournament last year, everyone expected Wichita State to be good again, and they are.
Maybe
and
better.
They beat Alabama. You're right. 9 o'clock. Great doubleheader of action on ESPNU. Well, the last time these two teams met was way back in the Brendan Manzer era at Oklahoma State. Cowboys have never lost to the Bulldogs. They're 3-0 all time in all those games in the late 80s, early 90s. And you had 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. That's pretty much your career line, isn't it?
That's about right. And, you know, people may look at that as 2 NBA first-rounders, Brooks Thompson and Bryant Reeves combined for 47. I look at it as Reeves, Manzer, and Thompson combined for 52.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it was only because Coach Sutton had them shooting more is the only reason they scored more. You know, the fact that the offense didn't funnel through you is still a mystery to me.
Well, Coach Sutton always had a hang-up on getting the ball into big country, and I'm not exactly sure why that was. Maybe that's why he won over 800 basketball games.
Yeah, maybe.
I was basically in there to give those good guards a rest and not screw anything up.
Here's Marcus Smart at the line. A little full court pressure now by the Cowboys.
You know, it's amazing, Dave. As poorly as Louisiana Tech has taken advantage of any opportunity. I mean, they're still down 12, and with the pace with which they play, they can close that gap pretty quick. But they've got to start getting a series of stops defensively, and then here in the half-court offense, they've got to find a way to get the ball in the bucket. And there's what they needed.
That was a good move by Alex Hamilton, and the foul on Forte.
That's a tough matchup for Forte. Not that Forte's not a good dribble container, because he is, but he only goes about 5'10", and Hamilton, a pretty physical guard, little crossover, and once he got the angle, when he went hard, Forte could not cut him off. That's a nice finish and drive from Hamilton.
So an old-fashioned 3 for Hamilton, and what do you know, the Bulldogs have got it down to single digits. A wraparound by Williams. Wow.
Nice move there. At Oklahoma State, Louisiana Tech has been able to put their full court pressure. They have attacked. They have not been passive and trying to get to the rim.
Smart deflected it out of bounds. It'll stay with the Bulldogs.
A lot of good athletes on this Oklahoma State team. The best one may be this guy right here, Brian Williams. Look where he left. Nice little spin to get the kiss off the glass.
And then trying to push through the screen. Brown with a foul away from the action. That's 2 on Markel Brown, and the second team foul this half for Travis Ford's Cowboys. Appleby really trying to get on track, and a whistle and another foul inside. This one is on Cobbins.
And it was a good job of Louisiana Tech, because you end up with the switcher here. Here's Cobbins on Appleby. That's a matchup advantage for Louisiana Tech. And then on the roll, you had Kaiser with Markel Brown potentially on his hip. And so right now, what Michael White's trying to do in the half court is entice Oklahoma State to switch, which they will, and then get the matchup that they like.
Again, part of the new rules this year, the freedom of movement, and you saw Cobbins reach out. And last year, that's a foul. That's not a foul. That's just a play that continues on. This year, they're trying to free up the movement, try to make it a more free-flowing game. I think we're getting closer and closer as far as the adjustments both the officials and the players and the coaches are all making.
Yeah, I do too. And obviously you and I, before we do games, you see Brian Williams knock down a jumper, we always ask the officials, how's it going? Because we forget that not only do the coaches and players have to adjust to this, but so too do the officials. It just was going to take some time. But I agree. You can see people becoming more familiar with it.
A wild shot thrown up by Kenneth Smith. Anderson tries a three. That won't go. Another missed three for the Bulldogs. They've only hit 2 in this entire game. Smart with a rare miscue.
Yeah, right there. That was a tough angle to make that pass right there. Probably should have moved the ball to the left side of the floor and entered it from that situation.
Tipped out of bounds by Anderson.
Here's Marcus Smart. Now look right here. See right here? He's got his head up, looking for teammates. You see the good spacing from Oklahoma State. Advances the ball up the floor. I talked about how they're very good doing that with the pass. And even though they're athletic, they're quick, these guys can move quickly, Dave, with the ball in their hands. It gets to the other end of the floor quicker with the pass. And they have done a good job, Travis Ford and his staff, of emphasizing that. And therefore, they've been getting finishes in transition.
Lobbed inside, and Markel Brown had it tipped away. Correct me if I'm wrong on that play we just showed, that replay. I think that Marcus Smart really wanted to go all the way up the court to Brian Williams, who had his back to the play. Instead, he had to settle for Brown, who got it to Williams. Well, no problem with a transition here for the Cowboys.
Boy, they're quick in getting there. I mean, it's just if they can get the stop and get the ball off the rim and not give up second chance points, they're in business.
And finally, after missing their last 5 field goal attempts, the Bulldogs connect.
Well, that's Kenyon McNeil right there. I mean, he's their best shooter. And he's a guy that shoots 44% from 3. And they would sure like to get the lid off the basket for him. Knock down a couple of those trays here this second half.
There's Keon McNeil, excuse me, tries another 3. This one well guarded and just a little bit short. Knocked out of bounds, and it'll go to the Cowboys.
You just see Michael White over there coaching his ball club. And they're still within a dozen. A little over 12 minutes left. If they can just get that one, even mini run day that you get, 8-2, 10-3 type run, it's back to a 2-possession game.
The Cowboys have not been able to deliver that knockout punch. So Brian Nash, with a good move to the basket, couldn't convert. Massey makes it 1 and done.
Yeah, strong drive, just got a little too deep.
Johnson, if he'd had a little better hands underneath the hoop, he had an easy 2. And then Johnson dribbles it off his foot and out of bounds. Another turnover for the Bulldogs. Travis Ford, he's okay with a 12-point lead, but he feels like it should be a lot more with plays like this. And Marcus Smart and the Cowboys of Oklahoma State leading Louisiana Tech 47-35. And a lot of people think maybe Marcus Smart could be the college player of the year in college basketball. How about the Heisman Trophy winner? Well, tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, we will find out. Would you circle your pick, Brendan, for the Heisman? Who do you think is going to win it?
Right here.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, right there.
Jameis Winston of Florida State. He has had such a dominant freshman campaign. Let's check out action in the second half where the Cowboys lead by 12.
Well, here's Oklahoma State's three primary scores. Markel Brown, Marcus Smart, and then LeBron Nash with the pass right there. All getting involved. Notice where those shots are coming from inside the paint.
So you look at Marcus Smart, the consensus All-American, Big 12 Player of the Year. A lot of people think right now he could be the Player of the Year in college basketball, having a tremendous sophomore campaign. A little bit of a surprise that he came back for a year or two, but it was his decision to say, you know, I still have a few things in my game that I need to work on. He's already made the announcement, though, that this will be his final year at Oklahoma State and ready for the NBA.
You know, you and I had opportunity to be around him the last couple of years, and he's a unique young man. I mean, he has perspective and wisdom beyond his years, and you know, that was his decision. And his family was supportive and said, hey, you do what your heart is telling you. And so he didn't have the pressure from home to do one or the other, and so you know, he won't regret that decision because it was his own. And obviously he gets asked all the time, do you still feel like it's the right decision? And he said, you know, I'm not sure yet, but I don't regret coming back. And very unique, mature guy to be so young.
You think part of it might be the opportunity to play with Phil Forte another year? I mean, he and Forte are like brothers, really. And then the way the Cowboy season ended last year, I think that kind of left a sour taste in his mouth.
Lots of things weighed into that, but you know, you look at last season. Their last 5 halves of basketball, which included the Big 12 championship in Kansas City and then the Oregon game, they were bad. It was not indicative of their season. And he's a guy that I think also wants to leave a little bit of a legacy at Oklahoma State and follow some of the greats that have been there.
McNeil for 3. And another one goes home. That's 2 threes now for McNeil.
And Keon McNeil is a guy that spots up great. And if you give him a decent look, he'll knock those down. And Coach Michael White certainly likes the open looks that he has gotten here in this second half.
Clark working it inside to Nash, who's been silent in the second half so far. Williams got caught in the air. Shot clock at 2. And a long 3 from Smart. He had to put that one up with only 2 on the shot clock.
Good defense, and you saw the seal on Nash on the entry pass. You had the rotation over. Nice wall built right there, making it difficult for Nash to pass out of. And they get the solid defensive effort in the half court.
Of course, Marcus Smart had his best game of the year against Memphis with Kevin Durant in attendance in Stillwater. Of course, Durant last night helped lead the Thunder past the Lakers. Kobe Bryant obviously still not at full strength. Played right here at Chesapeake Energy Arena.
And Travis Ford said that when Durant was in Stillwater for the Memphis game that his players were excited. And he said they were like little kids. And he said, you know, a lot of college students would act almost too cool to go over and say hello to Durant, but they were all excited he was in that building.
They singled out Johnson, got him in a good position, and don't look now, but it's only a 7-point game. Forte, they respect his 3 so much he was able to get into the paint, and then a good rebound by Nash.
Good half-court offense. Get the isolation. You got Brown at 6'2½", caught behind right here. Great job of reposition. He got another 1.5 foot closer just by with the body contact going over the left shoulder. And then if you look at Louisiana Tech defensively, they're getting some stops, but too many offensive rebounds. I mean, if they would secure that up, they'd be in better shape.
Play to Markel Brown.
Oklahoma State, two things Travis Ford does well. They execute out of timeouts, and they're very good now on their underneath out-of-bound execution. Here's an advantage you have of a guard with tremendous athleticism. See them pinch down on those bottom guys. And when you're underneath out of bounds, and you saw number 21 McNeil out towards the elbow, you've got to work inside out defensively, whether you're in man or zone. The whole idea defensively is just to get the ball flushed out so you can get your half-court defense established.
Long three-point attempt, saved. What a play. Smith throws up a floater. And again, it's a 7-point game.
And you tell, Dave, we're right here, obviously. More hop in the step offensively of Louisiana Tech. They got a little more zest, more crisp on the offensive end right now.
LeBron Nash. Well, some help came from the weak side from Anderson, and the foul called on Anderson.
And it's a 50-50 ball, as we call those. And they come up with that. Here's Smith, hard drive, tough shot, because he's trying to turn the corner on Nash, and Murphy rotating over. That's a very difficult shot that Smith got to go down.
So LeBron Nash, who had 15 in the first half, his first point of the second half. LeBron Nash now 4 of 6 from the line. Almost a double-double again for LeBron Nash. Now in his junior year out of Dallas, Texas. He's closing in on 1,000 points for his career.
The best stat from him, I think, this year, you know, in addition to the less three-point attempts on his stat sheet, is his rebound. His rebound production is up almost 6 per game, which with a guy with his ability and size, it really should be a no-brainer. He needs to be in that 6 to 7 area every night consistently.
Smith looking for a screen. Appleby lost the handle, got it back, and now Kamari Murphy.
Well, that was classic drive and kick offense right there. Well executed, but you got to complete the play. Got to finish.
Smart. He just has not found the range in this game. So Marcus Smart just 2 for 6 in the game. Despite that, Oklahoma State with a 9-point advantage.
Okay, in studio, the first of 4 national quarterfinals in the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championships coming up. Stanford and Penn State. That's Carly Wopat, niece of Tom Wopat. Remember Luke Duke?
Thanks a lot, Dario. Over 9 hours of college volleyball coverage today and tonight on ESPNU. With Brendan Manzer, I'm Dave Armstrong. We are in Oklahoma City at Chesapeake Energy Arena for the All-College Classic. With Marcus Smart leading the Cowboys here at 51-42 our score. Marcus Smart, of course, had a very interesting summer.
Well, his is with USA Basketball. What a great experience in terms of a lifetime experience, but his opportunity to play with some of the best collegiate players in all of the country. The additional game exposure, the international game exposure, and then also I'll tell you something else, is his opportunity to be around Billy Donovan.
Yes.
You know, another of our top-notch coaches in collegiate basketball, maybe picking up a thing or two for him. And Billy Donovan, very complimentary of Marcus Smart, and was just gushing with the praises and compliments in terms of his leadership ability, as you see his numbers so far this season.
Yeah, what he did in that on the FIBA Under-19 World Championship. The USA, by the way, just blew away the competition. They were undefeated in group and medal play and won by an average of 39 points per game. Well, in this game so far, Marcus Smart having a very unsmart-like contest. Just 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 4 from three-point range with 4 assists and 4 turnovers.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going to be critical, I guess if you can, maybe the best player in the country is too many turnovers. But part of that is you know, his desire to go make plays, and you don't really want to take that away from him. And I suspect that'll continue to improve throughout the course of the season, particularly when games become more meaningful in conference play.
And there he goes inside. So I think maybe the strategy, too, is to try to get Marcus Smart closer to the basket, and he comes up with an offensive rebound. Now Appleby still cannot find the range. Raheem Appleby in this game. And again, I point out that he has been in double figures in every contest, just 3 for 14 in this contest.
Travis Ford was highly concerned about Appleby's explosive scoring. And here's a possession before Marcus Smart. See him get that inside position. That's just a simple play. He makes a lot of those. We talk about those great ones and those Sports Center type plays, but his ability to do the simple things, and that's how he really fills up a stat sheet.
I agree.
I mean, that's how it's done.
Yeah, when you look across his line, I mean, here he is with only 7 points in this, or 9 points in this contest, but he has 4 steals. He has 4. I mean, he does so many other things for you, even on nights when he isn't scoring 30.
And that's one of the things, if Stevie Clark, the freshman from right here in Oklahoma City, will continue to improve, because if he can get the trust of the staff in key situations, that means you can move Smart off the basketball.
Well, one of the things the Cowboys are doing right now is getting inside. 6 of their last 7 field goals have been either layups or dunks.
Points in the paint, not settling for that outside jumper, which Oklahoma State will do at times, but they've been disciplined here as of late.
That'll be an offensive charge. Another thing Smart does.
Here's that little pick and roll. Nice roll to the basket by Murphy. But watch where he goes. He goes to open space. And he's got distance between those 2 defenders right in between, making it further for them to travel to him. So good feel and where to roll to from Kamari Murphy.
And he's got 10 points in the game, one of 3 Cowboys in double figures. A whip pass inside to Nash.
That was a really good look. And Nash wasn't expecting it. The defender out of position off the block.
That was a fastball,
yeah,
a two-handed fastball.
Yeah, that was a tough one right there. That was like a right fielder throwing it home, trying to get the guy around the third. But that was a really good look.
Another missed 3 for the Bulldogs. They are now 4 of 21 from 3-point range.
Got Kamari Murphy on a mismatch.
And a foul by Massey will send Marcus Smart to the line.
And right there, that is again a strength of Oklahoma State. You get the rebound, you push the basketball. You don't get anything in your primary offense, but they get it down so quickly that as a defense you're put on your heels and you're forced to be flat, meaning towards the baseline. And so that flattens your defense, making it tougher to keep guys in front. So then quickly, bam, next thing you know, they're on the free throw line.
Smart, who averages almost 20 points a game, has half that here today. Cowboys once again pulling away from the Bulldogs, matching their biggest lead at 15 right now. Well,
La Tech is going to make their run and give themselves a chance in the final 2-3 minutes. They've got to start doing it now. Stops defensively and a couple successful offensive possessions.
Anderson.
Nice.
Yeah, good move. And Brian Nash has it blocked by Kaiser. That's his 4th block of the game.
Here's Anderson, an athletic 4 that can take you off the bounce. Good job of establishing the pivot foot, and then he doesn't panic. Up and under move right there. And what those guys will do sometimes, Dave, is when that shot blocker leaves his feet, as soon as he hits the floor, they're back up quickly so that the defender can't recover.
Problem for the Bulldogs, Brendan, they went cold there for 4 minutes. That's their first field goal in that stretch after they pulled to within 7. And now LeBron Nash goes inside again.
Basket is good by Nash.
Good offense from Oklahoma State. You pass up the high-low, and then Nash can take you up the bounce. And see, you got the weak side help is cleared out from Murphy. And Nash, as I said earlier, if he's got a little space and it's not crowded in there, he can make that type of move, and he had it right there. Good, strong finish.
20 points now for Nash. And Brendan, I remember what you said early on in this contest, that Oklahoma State was settling for jump shots. Well, they're not now. 7 of their last 8 field goals have been either slams or easy layups.
And they came at a great time. I mean, better late than never if you're Travis Ford, because the Bulldogs are hanging around. And Oklahoma State in jeopardy of it being a tight one down the stretch. And unless Louisiana Tech can knock down a couple shots in the next couple possessions, that good offense has helped them stretch this lead.
We thought coming in that the Bulldogs might struggle inside, and they have. They've been outscored in the paint by 16 in this game. Smart with a head of steam, and a whistle and a foul. This one will be called against Anderson. That's the 9th team foul on the Bulldogs.
Well, this is the aftermath of the turnover. You talked about head of steam, and Anderson really doesn't have a whole lot of options right there. I mean, the only option you have, Dave, is to bluff at Smart, bluff, and hope it slows him up enough to buy time for your teammates to get back.
Yep. You know, I loved what Coach Ford told us last night about chemistry. It's one of his concerns coming in, because he knew so much of the focus, and rightfully so, would be on this guy, Marcus Smart. But he said everyone, including Marcus, especially Marcus, has handled it so well. And the chemistry has not been a problem. In fact, just the opposite. This team is very close.
Well, that's a credit to Marcus Smart, because the attention he gets is extraordinary in terms of how much of it and how often it's there. But I think his demeanor, and they all know he is about team, and so it's not a problem. And then his teammates deserve credit for being mature and understanding it for what it is.
Brown looking for some space, pulls up from 3. That's the first 3-point made for the Cowboys today.
Well, just defensively, you cannot go behind that deep on the offensive end on Markel Brown. Cannot let him square it and have that much time to shoot the basketball.
So after missing their first 7 attempts from 3-point range, the Cowboys finally convert with Markel Brown bringing home a 3, and the Cowboys pulling away from the Bulldogs.
Jim Valvano and I were competitors when we were players, then as young coaches. When he got out of coaching, we became friends, and when he was diagnosed with cancer, we became brothers.
We ask you to help us beat cancer. The V Foundation awards 100% of direct donations awarded to cancer research. And consider this: 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women will develop cancer in their lifetime. Cancer is the 2nd most common cause of death of children in the United States. We invite you to log on to www.jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V to donate. $115 million has been donated through the V Foundation, and we just hope that that trend will continue upward.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Yeah, keep it going. Well, Travis Ford has to feel a lot more comfortable now with only 3 minutes 9 seconds to go, and his Cowboys with their biggest lead of the game at 19.
It's good ball pressure for Marcus Smart, because they had an open look, but because he was mirroring the ball so well, they weren't able to enter the basketball. It's pretty good execution by Louisiana Tech, but Marcus Smart, again, this is a small thing, pressure on the basketball, disallowing a pass to the interior.
Kind of got the feeling when the Bulldogs got within 7, they might be able to make a bit of a run, but it's been just the opposite. The Cowboys, I think that was their wake-up call, and from that moment on, they really stepped on the gas.
And they really depend, Louisiana Tech, on flow and pace and just kind of getting in a rhythm. And they just have not been able to do that for only small stretches tonight.
That was blocked by Smart, but a goaltend.
Basket by Ryan.
So count the basket for Appleby.
Here's Smart following the play right here. Appleby. Yeah, definitely. Another look right off the glass. Marcus Smart trying to get in that block column.
And here are the Bulldogs averaging 86 points a game, and so far they're held to just 48. Their low scoring output just happened last week against Southern U, and they scored 69 in a win.
Well, both these teams rely on turnover margin. Both top 10 nationally in that category. And Louisiana Tech has on average, almost a +6 advantage. Good ball movement right there. Good cut by Nash. +6 advantage Louisiana Tech does in turnover margin. And they're in the hole by 4 tonight. And particularly that first half when they had 11 of their own.
Johnson got a half of a step on Williams, but still can't convert. Brown, nice crossover dribble, but then he had it stuffed by Kaiser. Fight for the ball, and a tie up here will give the ball to the Cowboys.
Here's second chance opportunities again for Oklahoma State. Nash misses the mid-range jumper, and then that's a really good cut. I mean, that I think is continued improvement from Nash. That's playing without the basketball, as simple as that was. When you get an offensive rebound, you want to attack immediately because the defense is broken. And Nash, a nice cut down the lane.
Clark thought about it and maybe should have turned it down. Took a long three that's no good.
Oklahoma State's got a lot of weapons, Dave, and one you have not heard from tonight is Phil Forte.
Yes.
He was their leading scorer through about 4 basketball games.
And Forte has not scored in this contest and has only taken 1 shot, which I bet you he's back in Stillwater later tonight shooting. Coach Ford told us that he averages between 500 and 800 shots per day.
Yeah, Forte told me one time he was making 400 a day. You know, so if you make 2 out of every 3, which I'm sure he does, or maybe even better.
And we're not talking layups. We're talking 3-pointers.
Threes. He's shooting 600 or 700.
So check. Rebounded away by Johnson. And don't forget, coming up next, we've got NCAA women's volleyball action for you here. Also on a foul called here on Gary Gaskins, a junior college transfer. And that will send Gilbert Talbot to the line. I think it's fair to say that this guy, Michael White, comes from an athletic family. When you say that, I mean, college athletics is their family business. His dad, Kevin, is currently the athletic director at Duke. He was at Notre Dame. And then when you also consider that his brother Michael is an athletic director in Buffalo, and his brother Brian is an assistant athletic director here. And LeBrian Nash, wow, what a game he had. 22 points, 15 of those in the first half. Double-double for Nash.
Well, I agree with you with Coach White. I mean, he's one of the up-and-comers, and he's very polished. I'm sure from his family background, understanding it's not only about X's and O's in this day and age of college basketball. There's other things politically that you have to do. He's very sincere, but very polished and smooth guy, in addition to his talent as an X and O's guy. And he will be a coach as long as he has talent around him. He's going to win basketball games.
Well, for the Cowboys here today, they didn't play their best, but they're going to win this one going away as Oklahoma State withstands The Bulldogs, and the final score 70-55. Travis Fort's team goes to 9-1 on the year.
That's a good win. I mean, Louisiana Tech is a very good basketball team. Oklahoma State takes care of business today. And you look at their upcoming schedule. They play Delaware State Tuesday, but 2 games before the conference season starts, Colorado and Robert Morris. 2 challenges upcoming for them.
So on a day when LeBron Nash had a double-double, Oklahoma State pulls away from the Bulldogs. So good afternoon from Oklahoma City. Now let's send it to Lexington, Kentucky for NCAA women's volleyball.